Ain't gonna do it.
Open look going as he hits it.
What a play called by Tom Izzo in that timeout.
I was 7 years old watching a football game by myself, and I saw those winged helmets come out of the tunnel, and I was hooked at that point.
Kane in Chicago. Oh my God.
Kane with the overtime winner.
Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
He drives, lobs to JD for a jam.
You play real good, you start. You don't play as good, you work your way back in. It's the American way, except America has gotten soft. But that is the American way. That's the way it works.
This is the 6'6". Kane running in. Jameson Williams, he's got it. Touchdown, Lions.
Now it's Larkin with a burst of speed. He scores. Gives the United States the lead for the first time tonight.
What a weekend. What a Sunday. Hope you enjoyed it. Glad you're with us here on X's and Bros throughout the great state of Michigan. As always, the Meyer hotline is open for you, 866-838-4843. You can text us, Sports Radio 21,000. We want to see your chats in the comments section on YouTube, on X, and, of course, on Facebook. I'm Matt Shepard. Andy McDonald alongside. Andy, did you have a good weekend, I hope, my friend?
Yeah, I can't complain, man. Like I said, it was my birthday, so that celebrated that, which was cool. Got together with some friends a couple of times. I did golf, so that was good as well.
And how did the golf go?
Good. Can't complain. I mean, it was – I don't know how it was down there yesterday. I think it was pretty much the same all the way throughout the state, but the wind was insane yesterday, so that definitely played a factor. But, yeah, it was overall fun. Anytime I can get out is better than not playing. So.
Were we slightly hungover after a Saturday celebration?
Honestly, I survived it pretty good. I thought I was going to be worse than I was. So, yeah. It's not
so what was it? Was it with the guys? Was it with the girlfriend? Was it everybody included? What was the celebration like?
It was just I'm kind of the kind of person that just likes to get people together, I guess, when I get the chance to. So it was just like a gathering of a good amount of my friends at a bar that we go to around here a lot. So that was pretty much it. But yeah, nothing too crazy. My girlfriend was actually on the road this weekend, so we celebrated, like I said earlier in the week last week. But yeah, that's how it went.
Okay, so overall positive, overall memorable.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was. I feel like once you turn 30, people have been telling me they start to forget how old they are. So maybe that'll just start to happen. I'll just forget my age here.
It's a great rule to live by. Well done. Yeah. Well said. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. All right. Well, glad you're back. Glad you're safe. Glad you enjoyed it. Pistons really enjoyed some stuff over the weekend for sure on Friday. And again, yesterday, they ended the first half yesterday on a 20-6 run to grab an 11-point halftime lead. They cruise from there. They blow out Orlando 116-94. It's okay to admit if you didn't see this coming. And the reason is because of how they played. Turn the clock back a little bit. You're talking to your buddies and you're going, they're down 3-1. It's not that you didn't think the team could come back. They've done it before. Okay? They did it in 2003. It's not that you didn't think anybody was capable of doing it. You know that's happened in the NBA before. Hell, you know it's happened in Detroit sports history. Okay? Whether it be the Tigers or the Red Wings, Pistons, as I mentioned before. It's how they were playing. You wanted to see them get back to who they were. There's an identity certain teams build, right? When we talked about the Lions 2 years ago, what did we say? We said their identity was up front, the offensive line and the defensive line, but primarily the offensive line. Most of us considered it the second best offensive line in all of football. Philadelphia was number one. Last year, they got away from that. It's almost like they lost their identity. Who is this team? We don't notice what they're doing. We were in Green Bay, and you're watching Green Bay penetrate on a regular basis right up the middle. You're playing Minnesota, and Minnesota's getting pressure up the middle with hardly any resistance. We thought they lost their identity. We said the same thing about the Pistons. Down 3-1 to Orlando. Who is this team? And we don't recognize this team. Then something happened in Game 5. Something happened in Game 6, and then yesterday left no doubt. It's good to see them get back to it. To a man, they felt like this series was good for them. It's easy to say that now because you were down 3-1 and came back and won 4-3. You're probably not saying that if you don't complete the comeback. But do what they want. Say what they will. They're marching on for the first time since 2008. Their first playoff series win in 2008. First time they reached the Eastern Conference semifinals since that season. They become the 14th team to ever bounce back from a 3-1 series deficit. Second team in franchise history. How did they do it? Cade Cunningham, 32 points, 12 assists. Where do you hear the numbers he put together in games 5, 6, and 7? It is what leadership looks like. Wait till you hear about what Asar Thompson did. His numbers may not be eye-popping in a box score, but it is what defensive players of the year candidates do. Wait till you hear about a savvy veteran who most people told you, tried to convince you when Detroit reacquired him that he wasn't good in the playoffs. We'll get to all that coming up. Cunningham, by the way, scored or assisted on 61 of the Pistons' points in Game 7. Next up, they play Cleveland and will play every other day starting on Tuesday, which I think is the way it should be. Okay? Cue Bruce Hornsby in the rain. That's just the way it is. I truly believe that. Because players like rhythm. They're like a fine jazz band. They need some rhythm. All right. So they're going to play game 1 on Tuesday, game 2 on Thursday, game 3 on Saturday in Cleveland, game 4 on Monday in Cleveland, back here in Detroit if need be on Wednesday, the 15th or 13th rather, and then Friday, Sunday. All right. There's your schedule for the Eastern Conference semis between Detroit and Cleveland. Now, I know I saw somebody on Twitter had said, I thought they played the lower seed. They don't reseed in the NBA. I know it's kind of dumb. If you think about it, I'm not making excuses, so please don't view this as a way of, already he's couching his thoughts. I told you I thought Detroit would reach the Eastern Conference Finals. Of course, I thought they'd do it against Boston, and that's not the case. But this Eastern Conference, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It has paved its way that allows Detroit to get to the finals. On the other hand, Detroit played an 8 seed that really wasn't an 8 seed. No, they got a little bit of a break in the last 2 games with no Franz Wagner. Like I had this debate with somebody the other day. They were talking about how they don't want to hear Orlando complaining that the Magic played without Franz Wagner. Not Mo Wagner. Mo Wagner did play. His younger brother, Franz Wagner, both went to the University of Michigan. Franz Wagner was hurt the last 2 games. And they said, I don't want to hear the Orlando. I said, so just so I'm clear, a year ago, you didn't complain that if Detroit had a healthy Isaiah Stewart, they would have beaten New York, correct? Silence. And I said, last year, were you saying Detroit would have beaten New York if they had Isaiah Stewart because he was their best low post defender? Well, Wagner doesn't. No, hold on. Wagner has been really good when defending Cade Cunningham. I'm not going there, but I didn't go there last year. Next man up. 3 famous words, 1 famous phrase in sports. Next man up. You don't want to hear the excuses. Neither do I. I don't blame you. I'm not going to sit there and try to tell you, well, they didn't have Franz Wagner, because I didn't say that last year about the Pistons and Knicks. Detroit and Cleveland, by the way, went 2-2 against one another during the regular season. And the Cavs had to come back and beat the Raptors yesterday, 114-102. All right, Jared Allen had 22 points, 19 rebounds. He was really good. Donovan Mitchell added 22 points. James Harden had 18. All right, so those 2 are up next. And then on the other side, it's an interesting matchup too. We'll get to all that and more, plus the Tigers story and the NHL, some wild stuff going on in the NHL, and our Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question. A busy Monday. Amari Sankofa will join us. He joins us at 8:35. Mondays with Mitch at 7:18. And, of course, 8:18, we want your hero and your heel on X's and Bros.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
Saturday night, May 23rd.
Carry on my wayward son.
Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort welcomes multi-platinum legends, Kansas. Tickets start at $60 and are on sale now at the box office or etix.com. Don't miss the best of classic rock. Kansas returns to Soaring Eagle Saturday, May 23rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
Just trying to stay with it. I think obviously, started off real rough, trying to just figure out my spots, figure out, where I could be effective at. But as the series went on, watching film, just understanding that every series, every game is going to bring a different challenge. So if I can't, if I'm struggling with the ball in the hole, my whole thing is like, let me just be effective on defense. Let me attack the boards. Let me try to keep them off the boards. Let me try to protect the paint, protect the rim as best as I can. Set good screens, just be effective in different ways. Scoring has never been, the main part of my game. I mean, it's something that I've added over the last couple years or months or whatever. But I feel like it was just key for me to just stay with it, bro. That's it.
Just stay with it. That's all you got to do. Welcome back. X's and Bros, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. I don't know if people recognize during the broadcast that Lindsey Hunter was there, friend of ours who's been on the show numerous times. Richard Hamilton was there. Ben Wallace was there. And people were obviously applauding and recognizing them on a regular basis for all they've given to Detroit. It's another example of how our sports heroes are truly the people that matter most to us. We'll talk more about that with Amari Sankofa, the Free Press Pistons beat writer, who joins us at 8:35 today. Welcome back, X's and Bros. Again, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. So we know it's Cleveland up next, and a series in which it went 2 wins apiece for Detroit and the Cavs, and they start tomorrow in Detroit. The other pits the Knicks and the Sixers, who came from 3-1 down to beat Boston. On the west side of things, it'll be the Thunder and the Lakers, and it'll be the Spurs and the Timberwolves. I get the sense that the East will be a battle and the West will not. I think Oklahoma City is clearly better than the Lakers and will win 5 games, win in 5. And considering Minnesota's health or the lack thereof, I would guess San Antonio would do the same. Whereas I think the East, with the Knicks and Sixers, might be a little bit easier for New York, with all due respect to Philly, although Joel Embiid has come back and done some amazing stuff. Tyrese Maxey's been outstanding. Edgecombe's been really good. I get the sense it's going to be the Knicks. And you know what? If you're a Pistons fan, that's good. That's fine. Because after you beat Cleveland, you can beat New York and remind everybody who the best team in the East was. So really good stuff. There is a part of, I think, a lot of Pistons fans who feel like Detroit found themselves in that series against Orlando. It took longer than you and I would have liked. It put us on an emotional roller coaster. It sent scary vibes through our entire body. But now that you look back, only because they won, they felt like this was a good thing. They found themselves. Jalen Duren, a double-double. Tobias Harris was outstanding. Danis Jenkins, who I wanted benched, came off the bench and scored 16 yesterday, hit some big threes. And in the end, while a lot of people were saying, well, Trajan, you didn't make the necessary move. Well, JB Bickerstaff, you're being outcoached. Well, why aren't you playing this player more? Why aren't you playing this player at all? It worked out, didn't it? I was thinking about this, Andy, yesterday. How many people, especially when it was 3-1, how many people talked to you and said, look, Orlando's got 4 of the best 5 players. It's Cade Cunningham, and then from Orlando's standpoint, people felt like it was Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, Wendell Carter III. Remember?
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people had that debate about like if you had to pick like even 3 players on either team, would you take the Magic's big 3 or would you take the Pistons' big 3? And a lot of people said the Magic.
Absolutely, they did. How much has that changed?
I feel like it has a lot because, people go with the way that the series kind of goes, but yeah.
Sure they do. But were we closely paying attention to how good Tobias Harris was playing? Were we closely paying attention to the difference maker that was Asar Thompson?
No, I don't think Tobias got paid attention to until the last few games there as much as he should have, because he was the entire series, he was a constant as the two, even in the games where they weren't playing great. And he was already giving you more in some of those games than it felt like you could have expected out of him then.
Yep, 100%. We'll dive more into that as we move forward here on a Monday morning, brought to you by Michelin's Wealth. Tigers roll the Rangers 7-1 to win the weekend series. Spencer Torkelson hits a 2-run bomb. I think we all are guilty of rushing to judgment, and it's really hard in a baseball season. It really is. It's really hard in a baseball season. There was a time where Kerry Carpenter had 6 homers to lead everybody, and Dylan Dingler had 6 homers to lead everybody, and Spencer Torkelson had none. Now it's Torkelson, Dingler, and Carpenter, all with 6. Kevin McGonigal, 2 for 4 with a couple of RBIs. He's 8th in baseball in hits. You want some offense, this is what you get. His on-base percentage is .407. He's got 41 hits. He's got a batting average right now of .315. He has the stat line of a guy who's been playing in this league for 5 to 6 years. Boston's in town tonight. Series opener has Tarek Skubal on the bump for Detroit. In the NHL, this is some wild stuff. Montreal trimmed Tampa in Game 7, 2-1. Alex Newhook, the hero. The Habs fired just 9 shots on net for the entire game. 60 minutes, they had 9 shots. In the final 20 minutes, in the third period, they didn't have a shot on net. And yet they won. Every game was decided by a goal. And Andy, when you hear people talk about home field, home ice, home court advantage, remind them that in the opening round series between Montreal and Toronto, it was 5 wins for the road team.
Yeah, it clearly did not matter throughout the entire time, man. They just
did not matter at all.
Played each other, and it was a phenomenal series. That's for sure. It kind of sucks. It was in the opening round almost.
I agree. Yeah. Every game was decided by a goal. 4 were overtime. That's how tight it was. The Canadians are going to play Buffalo next. Tampa, by the way, has lost in the first round in each of the last 4 seasons. Is John Cooper's job in jeopardy? I would think not. On the other hand, he did manage to coach Canada to a silver medal, losing to Team USA. And then he loses this. Meanwhile, Colorado outscores Minnesota 9-6. It seems like in one game, Colorado and Minnesota outscored Toronto, Montreal, and Tampa in an entire series. But Colorado's up 1-0 in the second round playoff series. Cale Makar had 2 goals and an assist. Devon Tays had a 4-point night. Nathan McKinnon had a goal and 2 helpers. That was a wild scene on how often those two teams were going back and forth with deflections and goals and so on and so forth. Here's our Mitch Lions Wealth poll question. In fact, Andy's already tweeted it out, and I've retweeted it. Besides Cade Cunningham, which Piston impressed you most in the series against Orlando? Tobias Harris, Asar Thompson, Duncan Robinson, Dennis Jenkins. This is not going to be easy. Remember, we said besides Cade Cunningham. You can vote as often as you want at XB Mornings, and we will give you the results in the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow. The Pistons, I thought, showed a ton of toughness. We'll explain what we think that means. Amari Sankofa of the Free Press will join us coming up at 8:35 to discuss. So always look forward to that. But there was franchise and a little bit of NBA history made yesterday when the Pistons completed the comeback win over an Orlando team that, keeps losing in round 1. And you could tell they're getting a little frustrated with it. But Detroit found themselves, and that's a good thing because certain players forced this situation. The right players forced this situation. We'll get to all that and more coming up. Plus your texts at Sports Radio 21,000 here on X's and Bros on a Monday morning, brought to you by Mitch Lions Wealth.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com. at MHSAA on Twitter and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com. How would you like to watch the Pistons in the playoffs on the biggest TV in Michigan? Well, you can get a huge deal and also get the biggest TV at your local ABC Warehouse store. You can shop online right now at abcwarehouse.com. They have locations all across Michigan. So if you want to watch the Pistons in the playoffs on the biggest TV in your neighborhood, go to your local ABC Warehouse store or shop online at abcwarehouse.com.
Saturday night, May 23rd.
Carry on my wayward son.
Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort welcomes multi-platinum legends, Kansas. Tickets start at $60 and are on sale now at the box office or etix.com. Don't miss the best of classic rock. Kansas returns to Soaring Eagle Saturday, May 23rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Nobody can say shit to me about Tobias Harris, right? He is dependable, reliable, prepared for the moment. He's a leader. He's a great teammate. He's a great human being. He's a high-level competitor. Like to show up tonight and do what he did when it was on the line the most. It's exceptional. And, I can come up with more adjectives if you want, but I think you get my drift.
Yeah, we get the drift, and you are dead on there. Absolutely perfectly said, JB.
Love that quote. I mean, his face, like,
isn't it one of your favorite quotes of all time?
Yeah, that was great. That was just really good.
It's quickly risen the ladder, hasn't it? And rightfully so. And how good was he? Tobias Harris was, I would argue, the best player on the floor for Detroit last night. Yeah, I know that usually goes to Cade Cunningham, and I get it, okay? And Cade Cunningham was fantastic. I mean, this is what leadership looks like. Cade Cunningham, 32 points, 12 assists, okay? Took care of the basketball for the most part. He was a plus 29, Andy.
Yeah.
If you believe in the plus minus, I do. He was a plus 29.
Yeah.
In fact, every player in that Pistons starting lineup was a plus. The lowest was Asar Thompson with a plus 12. Tobias Harris was a plus 22. Harris had 30 points. He was 11 of 18 from the floor. He was 5 of 7 from deep. This team needed, and we've said this all season long, this team needs to be able to hit threes. You don't have to pump in 20, okay? And you don't have to take 53 shots like Boston. Remember, Boston went up 3-1 on Philly. Why? They went 24 of 53 from deep in that game 4, I believe. Tobias Harris and the Pistons, that is not who they are. It's not their game, and that's okay. They took 33 triples last night. They made 16. You will take that every single day. It's probably pretty unique for them at 48%. You're getting 13 triples, 12, 13 triples a game. The way this team plays and the way they're dedicated to defense, I think you're going to be okay.
It's definitely a recipe for winning with the way that they play. Yes, absolutely. I think getting that out of Tobias, I mean, yeah, you can't expect that from him necessarily every night, but what he did every night in this series was just more consistency than I think what most people expected. And he did it at a pretty high level. So he deserves a lot of credit. I mean, the 22 and 10 he had in game 6 was also very important, if you ask me to move on.
Without question. So here's what he did. You don't want to look at the first couple of games. First couple of games, he had 17 in game 1, 16 in game 2. That's who you think he is.
Right, exactly.
I mean, that's his playoff average, 16 points, I believe. And we talked about it last week. So when people are talking about somebody has to elevate their play, somebody has to rise to the occasion like Cade Cunningham did. Tobias Harris, game 3, 23 points. Game 4, 20 points. Game 5, 23 points. Game 6, 22 points. Game 7, 30 points. Not to mention the fact that, shooting-wise, except for game 6, shooting-wise, he's pretty damn good. 9 for 18. That's 50%, as you can tell. The game before, 8 for 17, 47%. Even in game 3, he shot 50%. All right? For that playoff series, he shot 46% and averaged 21.5 points a game. He elevated his play. And he was really good yesterday. Like I said, arguably the best player on the floor at times. It's hard to deny what Cade Cunningham has ever meant, but especially in this series. 107 points in the last 3 games in the series. Andy, there are only 2 players who have ever scored more in games 5, 6, and 7 combined in a series to overcome a 3-1 deficit. LeBron James scored 109 points in 2016 in the finals against the Warriors. And in round 1 in the 2020 series between the Denver Nuggets and the Utah Jazz, Jamal Murray scored 109 points. Cade Cunningham scored 107 in the last 3 games. On top of that, he and Tobias Harris Tobias Harris, are the third duo in Pistons history, each with 30 points in a playoff game. Who do you think the other two duos are? I never would have guessed this. Never.
I doubt I can either, to be honest, because I don't know.
Where does your mind immediately go?
Oh, gosh. I'm trying to think.
Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
Okay.
This is in Pistons history?
This is in Pistons history.
Okay. Yeah, Isaiah Thomas would definitely be one of the first ones I go to, yeah.
Yeah, that would be one of them. I would guess your mind might go toward Richard Hamilton and maybe Chauncey Billups.
That's what I was going to say.
I get it. Okay. Here are the other two duos to have each player score 30 points or more in a playoff game. 1976, Eastern Conference Semis, Bob Lanier and Curtis Rowe.
There's no way I'd have got that one.
Me either. 1977, the first round, Bob Lanier and Howard Porter against the Warriors, both times against the Warriors. That's amazing stuff. Meanwhile, you're looking at an Orlando team that right now they have to wonder where they're going. Remember, Cade Cunningham was chosen first overall. When people talk about, oh, we don't get the breaks, it's not fair for us and all this other stuff, bull crap. Okay. Detroit got a good opportunity in 2021 and they drafted Cade Cunningham first overall. Thank goodness. Jalen Green was another name that people talked about in Houston. All right. Cleveland took Evan Mobley. Toronto took Scotty Barnes. And then Orlando took Jalen Suggs out of Gonzaga. And I remember thinking, I wonder, do you take Jalen Suggs there first overall? Because what he did at Gonzaga, he was really good. He was an All-American, fantastic player. Orlando got Suggs and then 3 picks later took Franz Wagner, which is interesting considering how important those two guys are to the success of their franchise. But especially Wagner's been better as a later first-round pick than the other. But you talk about, this is why I say you miss, and I wouldn't say Jalen Suggs is a miss. That's not necessarily fair. But if you miss out and you don't get it right in the first round, it can set your franchise back years. Jalen Suggs, field goal percentage in his last 4 games of the playoffs. Ready? In game 4, he went 1 for 7. I don't have to give you the percentage. I'm just going to give you the numbers. He went 1 for 7. Game 5, he went 1 for 13. Game 6, 4 for 9. You can live with that. Game 7, 1 for 10. In other words, he was 7 for 39 in his last 4 games. That's 18%, in case you were wondering. Jalen Suggs' field goal percentage in the last 4 games was 18%. Now, you may not think, okay, that's a small sample size. How about if I take it one more? I'll include a win in there, okay? The last 5 games, he averaged 8.5 points, shot 24.5%, shot 20% from 3, and turned it over 3.5 times per game.
I mean, really, since the start of that game 1, it feels like when he was kind of hot to come out, I don't really think you heard much about him the rest of the series.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the guy who was drafted first overall, Cade Cunningham, had the 5th most points in a first-round series in NBA playoff history.
Yeah, I remember what I think I asked you last week about if people were going to feel like they need to see, Cade win a series to be known as the guy, going forward and stuff. I think he planted that flag for sure.
I think he did too.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can go against that now.
Listen, Andy, there are certain moments in playoff series. Isaiah Thomas in 1988 with the basically playing on a broken ankle. If you don't know about it, it's amazing. Okay, we really love what certain players do for us. Okay, we love what players symbolize. That's why people love Steve Yzerman, because he went through crap times, the Dead Wings, and then won cups. Isaiah Thomas went through crap times with the Pistons, and then what did he do? Led them to a couple of finals. Championships, I should say, because more than one finals. But in 1988, He scored 25 points in the third quarter. It was one of the greatest performances in NBA history. It doesn't get talked about nearly as enough. But it was in the third quarter. It was a high ankle sprain. It was a guy hobbling constantly, okay? And yet somehow he was able to get through it. He scored 14 points in the third quarter, okay? Had to leave the game because of the ankle, and then scored 11 points of Detroit's last 15 in the quarter. They were down by 8 when he left for the injury. Took a 2-point lead heading into the fourth. Unfortunately, they lost the game. Okay. That would have been it. But LA won it, and then LA won game 7. It was reminiscent of Willis Reed, if you recall. Everybody makes a big deal out of that 1970 NBA Finals where the Knicks won it all. Here's the problem. Reed scored 2 buckets. Okay? That's it. He scored 2 buckets. Thomas put his, I don't want to say his career, but look, he had to use crutches to get out of the building. He left the Fabulous Forum, which wasn't fabulous, on crutches. So it's a different situation in terms of games. Game 6 for Isaiah Thomas, Willis Reed, game 7. But that helped define who he was and what he meant to this city. Cade Cunningham, you could say something very similar. You could say what Cade Cunningham did and the amount of leadership that he put on display was so inspiring, so good, that it makes you put him in the same conversation already with certain Pistons greats. If you're looking for someone to take over a game, try this. 39, 27, 27, 25, 45, 32, 32. Those were his scoring numbers. That is leadership.
Absolutely. Those last 3 with your back against the wall too. Like you got to have it, and he had it.
Yeah. Simply amazing what he was able to do. Truly one of the best playoff series you will ever see by any player. Consistently. I know. I was frustrated with some of the turnovers. I didn't even mention the assists because he had double-digit assists in the last 2 games. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think everything can still kind of be true about the beginning of the series of the way they were playing, because, you know, even that, I think there's a Sarr quote out there. He kind of talked about it. He said, like, you know, we need to play that way from the start instead of, you know, he feels like they kind of learned through going down by that much that happens. So I feel like Gabe was still definitely a little too careless with the basketball early in the series, and I'm not going to let that get away from me. But what he was able to do when they needed, you know, it the most was great. Now I'm interested to see in the series going forward if he can come out and, you know, be that way from the start. Obviously, you can't expect someone to, you know, be just unbelievable every single night, I guess. But you know you need out of him every night for this team to win.
But he seems like he unfortunately for us, it seems like he can't. I'm not going to say he didn't start out great. He scored 39 in game 1. He had 39, 5 and 4. But he had a couple of double doubles. I said he had back-to-back double-digit assists in game 6 and 7. He didn't. He had 10 rebounds in game 6. He had a double-double in game 6, 32 and 10. But he did have 32 and 12 last night. Earlier in the series, game 2, he had 27 and 11. 27 points, 11 assists. He had 6 boards in that game. I mean, those are the things. That's why I wanted to make sure I brought up more than just the points. That is called leadership. All right. In the meantime, so we think that's what leadership looks like for sure. This is what a difference maker looks like. Asar Thompson. All right. His average, 8.5 points, close to 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 2.3 steals, 2.3 blocks, 3.5 offensive rebounds. Okay. On top of that, he averaged under 2 fouls a game. Under 2.
Playing the defense he plays, I don't care if the refs are letting you play or not. That's insane that he didn't add up more than that.
So let's put it in perspective, Andy. He averaged under 2 fouls a game. Last year against the Knicks, he averaged 4.5 fouls a game. So that tells you something about his growth as a defensive player. Simply amazing. And game-changing. Dare I say franchise-changing. I saw a clip from Gilbert Arenas who said, a first-round pick averaging 10 points per game, sorry, you're not a guy I'm going to build around. And he's referring to Asar Thompson. And it surprised me. And it surprised me because here's a guy who should recognize some of the ancillary things a player also brings. Would I like him to average more than 10? Yes. I would prefer something closer along the lines of 14. And you can't tell me that this team doesn't need it, because they do. They need scorers.
Absolutely,
you know that.
yeah. The fact that when he's around the perimeter, the defender drops off quite significantly. They're not worried about any of his outside game. I think that's a part of it. He definitely needs to grow in for sure.
Yeah, I could even argue this team, more than scores, they need shooters.
Absolutely.
Asar Thompson's never going to be a shooter, but he can be a scorer. And do you want more than 10? Yes. Here's the thing, though. The difference is what he does on the other end and how he helps his teammates in so many different ways that needs to be recognized. Via text from our good friend Freddie, maybe it's time to just watch games and not react to them any longer until it's over. I know Friday at 8:15, no one in this town was happy or thought this would happen until the coach got his head out of his rear end. If he doesn't bring in Paul Reed Saturday, and today is a different story. Good to see a coach in town not be pig-headed and do what's right in the moment, not stuck in their beliefs. That's a great point, because it's so true. It is. If you look back to Friday in the 83-79 win where Detroit was down 24 and came back and won, a big reason they came back and won is because of Paul Reed's 6 points and 6 boards in 11 minutes. He was a +7 off the bench. He was really important. He was Detroit's best big. Isaiah Stewart did nothing in that game. Played 8 minutes, didn't register a rebound, not an assist, not a point, not a field goal attempt, nothing. So -8. Paul Reed was the difference. So, Freddie, I give you credit for giving JB some credit. I mean, there's a part of me that could argue, I wish you would have brought him in earlier. I wish you'd have brought him in earlier in the series.
And I still think that kind of stuff plays true too, even though they came back for sure.
Two things can be true, right?
Exactly.
He wasn't pig-headed in game 6, but where was Paul Reed earlier in that series? Maybe it changes. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here. Today is not a day to criticize and do that kind of stuff. Today's a day to be in awe and appreciate what this team was able to do and come back. We've got more texts when we come back. 7:18, we've got Mondays with Mitch. 8:18, Hero and Heel, and 8:35, Amari Sankofa, the Free Press, talking basketball here on a Monday morning, brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious Cosmic Crisp apples, money saved. Meijer Essential Paper Towels, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community, just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
Motown Legends, TNT, together again. Temptation. For Tops, Saturday night, May 9th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Tickets start at $55 and on sale now at the box office at etix.com. Saturday night, May 9th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Temps and Tops together again.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
Extremely proud of this group, the resilience all year long, on the road, being down 22.5, moving ourselves back, just believing. That's what this team is about. That's what the city is about, what our fans are about. And to be able to come in tonight in front of our crowd and get a Game 7 win. It's a great experience for us as a group. At the same time, it's a good moment for us. And we after tonight, we turn to the next page for the next series.
It's Tobias Harris and what he was able to do, the impressive performance that he helped Detroit get to a Game 7 win over Orlando. And next up, they get the Cleveland Cavaliers, a team that they went 2-2 against. By the way, when Philadelphia had come back and beat two times in one playoff round, two teams came from a 3-1 deficit. Philadelphia did it against Boston, won in Boston in Game 7. That was really impressive. And then, of course, Detroit against Orlando. That means in Boston. Now, remember, J.B. Bickerstaff, finalist for Coach of the Year. Joe Mazzulla, finalist Coach of the Year. Not saying he didn't belong there, okay? But he is the first coach in NBA history to lose 3 series with a 90% win probability. He and the Celtics, being up 3-1, had a win probability of 90% or better. The Celtics' 3 series losses have come within the first 4 years of his coaching tenure. I think he's a really good coach, but that makes you wonder a little bit. Should make you majorly concerned if you're a Boston fan. And there's there are some things historically that were not great for the Celtics. I mean, the first team to have 3 different starters, and those starters were Luka Garza, Baylor Sherman, and Ron Harper Jr. No points in a playoff game. Since starters were first being tracked back in 1970-71, it's the first time any team in a playoff series had 3 starters post no points. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. When people say defense wins championships, you've heard that, right? You've heard it in every sport. You hope it's not true necessarily in baseball because Detroit's defensive infield is just awful. That we've got some numbers for you a little bit later on. But if you think about it, with the Raptors losing yesterday to Cleveland, the Pistons now, there are 5 of the 8 teams in the regular season defensive rating that have advanced to the playoffs. 5 of the best 8. And Detroit obviously being one of them. Here's the other beauty of what's going on in the East. There's going to be a first-timer. What do you mean a first-timer? First-timer in the NBA Finals. Here's what you're going to have. It's either Cade Cunningham, it's either Jalen Brunson for the Knicks, it's either Donovan Mitchell of the Cavs, or it's either Joel Embiid for the Sixers. One of those 4 stars are going to play for a title for the first time in their career. That's pretty awesome. Okay? Now, who do you think it's going to be? I'm sure most of us feel like it's going to be Cade Cunningham and the Pistons, and I get that. Via text, Shep, after watching some of the other games, if somehow Trajan Langdon was to keep Dennis Schroeder and Tim Hardaway Jr. traded for Harden, barring injuries, there's no doubt that the Pistons would be the favorites to win the NBA title this year, especially seeing Thompson became a defensive star. Tobias Harris not showing his age, and Cade becoming a superstar. Tim Hardaway Jr. did not have a great year for Denver, but maybe in this system, he would have picked up where he left off. I don't think that's far-fetched, what he's writing there. Would they become the favorite to win it all over OKC? Maybe not. In the East, absolutely. They'd be the favorite in the East. If you listen to the show long enough, you know me. I'm not a huge James Harden fan. So I think defensively he's an incredible liability. Shep, reminding you some of the great memories for you calling Tigers. May the 4th be with you. That's right. Today is May 4th. So that will be at the Tigers game against Boston tonight, you would think. May the 4th be with you, and they'll play that up on Star Wars. And then tomorrow, Cinco de Mayo, right? Good stuff. Shep, what is it with the home commentators? Pistons challenge a call in the first half and lose it. And then their response is the NBA really needs to change their rules where they each have one in each half. I didn't notice that. Shep, nice to see the Lions handed the Pistons the grit. Yeah. I also noticed the Lions were tweeting out how, big win for the Pistons. So all the teams supporting one another. You love that. It's time to start handing out awards after the playoffs, including the playoffs. Yeah. I don't think you can do that. They're referring to, if you're going to have awards like Coach of the Year, it should include the playoffs. You can't do that because sometimes the players of the year might not be in the playoffs. Are you going to hold it against a guy who has a great regular season and then a poor postseason, for example? Do something like that. I think it's a regular season award. It's known for a regular season award. I think they should keep it that way. I wouldn't start including the playoffs. Now, if you're looking at MVP, I mean, I hear what Luka Doncic isn't playing in the postseason. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is. Victor Wembanyama is. Nikola Jokic was. And Cade Cunningham is. So suddenly you're going to a certain extent, penalize Luka Doncic. That's the reason there is a 65-game minimum, unless you win some type of, lack of a better word, arbitration hearing. Okay? Appeals process is really what it is. So I wouldn't do that. I would keep it as a regular season award. All right. Just like you should be doing that with, players in college football winning the Heisman. It should be a regular season award. Okay. You got to admit, I mean, I think he's bringing that up because of Joe Mazzulla. It's been a rough last month for the city of Boston, if you think about it. Their football head coach, who led their team to a Super Bowl, had his years-long affair with a reporter from The Athletic exposed, pictures associated with it, and a poor way to handle a press conference. On top of that, ESPN yesterday in the post-game press conference saw them make fun of it, where they have those little graphics, those little picture graphics, if you will, with the Celtics on a boat being sent out to shore with other people from Boston, like Ben Affleck and Wahlberg and so on and so forth. But who's at the very top of the boat, the very beginning? It's Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini. So anyway, you had that. You've had the Red Sox had to fire their manager. They're in last place in the division, right, Andy? If you looked at the standings in the AL East, isn't Boston still in last place?
Yep,
I believe
they're at the bottom.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 13-21. The Bruins lost in the first round of the playoffs, and the Celtics blew a 3-1 series lead to the Sixers.
That's definitely been a rough month.
That's a rough
you put
month.
It into perspective there. I didn't really think about all that combined together because it kind of just is kept coming up, one by one. But yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah, the Bruins lose to the Sabres in 6 games. Red Sox fire Alex Cora, and it's not just fire him; it's what players said about him afterwards, or how dysfunctional the franchise is. Not about Alex Cora, because they wanted to keep Alex Cora by all accounts. Which of those is the worst?
That's tough.
They might be talking about that in Boston today.
Yeah, no, if you had asked me, I'd probably still say the Mike Vrabel thing's pretty bad overall. But
I would say losing a series when you're up 3 games to 1.
That's bad too.
And Boston to be Boston at the time of losing it, the Celtics were 32-0 all time when leading 3 games to 1. So
that's impressively bad.
Yeah. That's impressively bad. I would rank them Celtics blowing the 3-1 lead, the Mike Vrabel situation, then the Red Sox, then the Bruins. because Buffalo was really good. And when we come back, Mondays with Mitch, 7:18. Every Monday, we talk with our friend Mitch Lyons, the former NFL tight end, gives us his take on the world of sports. It's Mitch Lyons, Mondays with Mitch, next here on X's and Bros.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community, just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
If you're the largest selling comedy recording artist in history,
you might be a redneck.
Jeff Foxworthy, Friday, June 12th, inside the Soaring Eagle Entertainment Hall.
Our parents can't text and our children can't write.
Tickets start at $60 and are on sale now at the box office and online at etix.com. Laugh it up at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, Friday, June 12th with Jeff Foxworthy.
My father-in-law got his chest hair caught in his zipper.
SoaringEagleCasino.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
18 after the hour. Welcome back on this Monday. It's a Mondays with Mitch as we welcome in our good friend Mitch Lyons, the former NFL tight end, to give us his thoughts on some things that take place in the world of sports. He's a massive sports fan, massive Detroit sports fan, and you can, if you're a big fan of saving money, if you're a big man of trying to get your money ready for retirement, then you should be a big fan of Mitch Lyons and Mitch Lyons Wealth. Visit his website, MitchLyonsWealth.com, or call 866-85-STEEL, and he and his fabulous team can help you, all right? They've got a lot of different things for you. And get this, if you go to the website, you can get their Roth Blueprint offer. Call and speak with pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth and see if a Roth conversion makes sense for you. Hope you had a great weekend, my friend. I know the Pistons did. Yeah, I bet you. I know you were decked out in red, white, and blue last night. What impressed you most about the Pistons comeback?
Oh man, I just think the grit. Being down 3-1, nothing's going your way. And that's a huge hole to dig out of. And I always tell Grace, my youngest, who plays hoops in college, I say, hey, listen, you don't need to win 3 in a row. You just need to win 1 3 times. And that's how you got to face it in that situation, is to don't look at the whole picture. It's about winning the next game. And that's really what they did. And it was great to see them get it done. That's not an easy hole to dig out of. And they should be proud and hopefully use it as a springboard into the next round.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think there's a lot of people who are doubting them. It doesn't matter who's doubting you. All that matters is that you have confidence in yourself. You and everybody in that locker room, and they did. Which Piston specifically, besides Cade Cunningham? That's the easy one. But which Piston impressed you most?
Yeah, no, it was completely obvious that Cade was fantastic. So I'll throw him his flowers anyway, even though everybody knows it. Just an amazing performance all the way through. Tobias obviously stepped up, huge performance in Game 7. We've talked about them needing that second score, and he was all that and more yesterday when they needed him most, really throughout the 3 games, that they won at the end. And but I thought Danis Jenkins stepped up big yesterday. If you told me that Duncan Robinson was going to be 2 for 10 from 3, that probably didn't bode well for us. But Jenkins was there to pick up the slack and then knock down and play. Just his energy is contagious, and I love watching the guy play D. And all the guys. I mean, that's the difference, right? And you talked about it with all the teams that, the majority of the teams that are advancing are in the top metrics for defensive teams. And, you hear it all the time, defense wins championships. But, man, both teams, too. Kudos to Orlando. I mean, they played some ball hawk and D as well. There was no freebies in that series, man. There was, breakaway layup, and that wasn't even a freebie. So they were contested in every shot, and I love watching basketball like that.
Yeah, so do I. I appreciate you listening to in the morning. Mitch Lyons from Mitch Lyons Wealth. It's Mondays with Mitch. Call him today, 866-85-STEEL, or go to the website, MitchLyonsWealth.com. Easy to navigate that website. There is a free digital copy of Retirement of Steel, his book, on the website. There is a free also streaming code on the website for Retirement Deception, a film protecting people from the deceptions of retirement planning. He's joining us here as he does every Monday at 7:18. Is this one of the more, I hate to be too hyperbolic, but look, they did this in 2003 in a comeback 3-1 series. This is one of the more impressive playoff series. If you don't want to include the team, let's just look at Cade Cunningham in general. It's one of the more impressive playoff series by any one Piston in history. Is that fair to say, or am I getting too caught in a moment, do you think?
No, I think so. I mean, you think back to the Bad Boys era, and even in the Chauncey and Rip's team, it wasn't a one-man band. And not that this is either, but from a scoring standpoint, I mean, a lot falls on Cade's back. And, as great as Isaiah was and then Chauncey and Rip, I mean, they did it through a team effort. And these guys do it through a team effort as well in terms of defense and sharing the ball and stuff. But just to go out there and have to drop, 35 to 40 every night, that's not easy, man. And you're catching the other team's best defender. They're trying everything they can to slow you down, and yet he's still able to do that. And the turnovers were a bit problematic, at times. But this guy's got the ball in his hands 95% of the time, so you got to take some of that with some of the good with the bad. But man, yeah, I would say this is one of the all-timers, not just with Pistons history, but really across the league as you look at it.
What do you think of the matchup against Cleveland? They went 2-2 against one another during the regular season.
Well, I think the East is, as we've seen, right? Every series going, at least 6 games. Three of the 4 went 7. It's a competitive, pretty even teams, and I think we're going to get more of that this series. I agree with you. I don't think Harden is a great defender. Hopefully, we can exploit that a little bit. And I think we just wear teams down with our energy on D, making everything so hard. So hopefully they can do that and slow up Donovan Mitchell a little bit. And but I like it. I mean, I like the home court. I like the fact that we're playing. It wasn't ideal that we got extended to 7, but I think it did kind of set the tone heading into this one. Right, we played really good basketball the last 3 games, and obviously that game 6 was an all-timer, and it wouldn't have meant anything if they lose yesterday, right, Shep? So winning yesterday obviously was key, but that one will go down in the annals of Pistons history, coming back from really their deathbed and rallying. So I think they take that positive momentum, and I think they get this done. I don't think it's going to be easy. It'd probably be a 6-gamer maybe, but I think they'll get it done and move on.
Hey, earlier in the week, I was thinking about you because the Lions extended or picked up the 5th-year option of Jahmyr Gibbs. What do you like or maybe not like about that decision?
Well, there's nothing. I don't know. I don't think there's anything to dislike necessarily. They can still work on his extension, but at that price, I think it was $14 million for the 5th year. Yeah. That's still a pretty good deal for one of the most electrifying offensive players in the league. So even if they didn't get an extension done, they've locked him up for another year at a reasonable price. And obviously, I would think they would look to extend him further, but that's not a bad price to get that kind of playmaker locked down for another year at least.
And they chose not to do it for Jack Campbell. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think similar, just on the other side of the coin there. His number was $22 million. That's a lot for a middle backer. Not that they don't want to extend him, but they don't want to extend him at probably that kind of price. So hopefully they get something worked out with Jack. I thought he was fantastic last year, Shep. I thought, he really made a huge jump. Obviously, he was all pro and all that, but he was just fantastic and just all over the film. And that's a guy you want to lock up, and he's kind of the head of your defense. And I'm sure they'll look to get something done, fairly quickly with him as well.
I was pretty excited on Saturday. I went and watched my daughter graduate from Michigan State University on Friday. Proud Spartan, and it was a really nice ceremony at Breslin Center. Hell of a lot nicer than what they had to go through at Michigan. And then Saturday morning, I played 18 holes at West Acres. First time I'd ever played that course. Really, really liked it. What's your best score there?
Well, first off, congrats to your daughter. That's awesome. And, love to have her as part of the Spartan alumni. At West Acres it's been a minute since I played there, Shep, but I love the course as well. It's really, really a nice track. I think this is going back a few years. I think I shot a low 80s there, but I don't go below 80 too often. In fact, I think I have once in my life, but I did have one round there where I shot like an 82 or 83, something like that, which for me is pretty good. I'm a bit of a hacker, so for a 14 or 15, that's pretty good.
You're a big supporter of a golf outing that's coming up this summer. I want to talk to you about that as we get closer to that. But can you give it a quick mention now so people can at least be aware of it? What's taking place there in Grand Rapids?
Well, I think everybody knows we're Mitch Lions Wealth. We're big supporters of Kirk Gibson's Parkinson's Foundation down in Farmington Hills, and this is one more local to the Grand Rapids area. Paul Grady is a friend of mine that has been afflicted with Parkinson's, and he's having a golf event in June. Excuse me, and caught me off guard. So let me find the date on that real quick. Sorry, but we're just raising money for Parkinson's. It's going to be I believe it's June 29th. We'll get 29th.
That's correct. It's 29th.
But great cause. I mean, I really I know quite a few people that have been afflicted with Parkinson's, and just everything we're doing with Gibby down in the Detroit area, trying to help out Paul and his group and his team to spread the message, to get the word out, and help raise funds to battle this cruel disease.
Good for you. Well, it's at the Watermark Country Club in Grand Rapids, Monday, June 29th. It's going to be a fabulous event. You're always willing to give back on your time in the community and give back, and that's what makes it special. You're always willing to give your time on Mondays with Mitch, so we appreciate that as always. Have a great week, my friend.
Shep, you're still in for that one, right?
Oh, you better believe it. Yeah, I'm in.
All right, because I need your stick now. I know you're playing, so I need to get you getting our score low. So that's good.
All right, you better rely on somebody else, but I look forward to it because it'll be a good time. All right, Mitch Lyons joining us here on X's and Bros, brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth and by Meyer here on a Monday morning.
Ferris Coffee has been family-owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Ferris Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Motown legends, TNT, together again. Temptation. 4 Tops, Saturday night, May 9th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Tickets start at $55 and on sale now at the box office and etix.com. Saturday night, May 9th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Temps and Tops together again.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu. What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
One, I mean, I know who I am. I know who the team is. Outside noise is whatever it is. Y'all gonna do what y'all supposed to do as the media, create narratives. But I think in our locker room, we know who we are. I mean, as a team, as a group, as an organization, we don't take the dog shit lightly. Like, we really feel like we're some dogs. We feel like our back against the wall, the whole world kind of saw, okay, now it's time to go. Now it's time to keep swinging. So I never doubted anything. I never doubted the guys that I was going to war with. I never doubted the coaches. Never. So, I mean, we're going to just keep proving the world wrong.
That's Jalen Duren after a 15-15 performance last night. Finally looked like himself, a lot closer to who he was during the regular season. I know. You're going to judge him on the first 6 games, not game 7. Okay? I don't want to – I got to be careful here because a lot of times when I bring up Jalen Duren, it's a lightning rod. It is. It's turned into a bit of a lightning rod. It's not as much of a lightning rod perhaps as, maybe Jared Goff at times. I don't know. But it is a bit of a lightning rod. Is it as bad as Spencer Torkelson? Probably not. But let me just say this. If you're having this debate with a friend, and I have them with friends about Jalen Duren, and you know how I feel about him. I like him. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's a max player. I think he's a good player. If you're not going to judge him on one game, game 7, because it's too small of a sample size, why would you judge him on the previous 6 compared to the 70 he played during the regular season?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's more of like a people just taking stock in the playoffs thing only, and maybe people don't take as much out of the regular season. But yeah, I mean, I think you still have to include his body of work. But good thing is he has another playoff series now to maybe, show a little bit more to anybody that thinks that way too, I guess. But,
and it's going to be tough because Evan Mobley's a good player.
Yep, that was
Jared Allen's a good player. I mean, this is going to require Detroit's playing 2 bigs at the same time against Cleveland if they go 2 bigs.
It's a tough matchup after what we just watched this past series with Orlando and how much they struggled to get in there.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And those bigs are better than Wendell Carter, for crying out loud. Of course, I think Jalen Duren's better than Wendell Carter too. So who knows? Well, we'll see. Well, I do want to get into that here coming up. I mean, I think it's so tough in sports to overcome the negativity that surrounds a lot of things in sports today, and a lot of it is based on social media, and to keep your head up and keep grinding and keep fighting. And that's exactly what Jalen Duren has done. Now, it doesn't mean you and I can be satisfied. We think there's more there. We wished it was better than what he's doing, but he's out there giving it as much as he possibly can. At least that's the way it appears. People said no to him. Get him out of the starting lineup. Don't even play him. I want to see Isaiah Stewart in the starting lineup. I want to see Paul Reed first man off the bench. All those things. Don't tell me he didn't hear it. You know damn right damn well he did. But he is a guy who fought his way through this. And these are tough learning lessons. All right. Sometimes things just don't make sense, you guys. They don't. Let me give you an example. The Angels just released Mickey Moniak so they could keep Tim Anderson. Now, before you go off, Mickey Moniak's 27. Okay? He's batting .326 with 11 home runs for the Angels so far this year. A team that could use a stick. Okay? I'm Colorado. I'm sorry. I said the Angels. He used to play for the Angels. Colorado just released him. He leads the league in slug. He leads the league in OPS. And he's tied for the league lead in home runs.
That's
okay.
Wild, man.
Yeah. He's 27. So still a young guy. He was the first overall pick in the 2016 draft. Why does that sound familiar? I'll tell you why it sounds familiar. Because That is the same draft. Mickey Moniak was taken in the same draft. Okay, Nick Senzel was taken after him. AJ Puck was taken after him. Matt Manning was taken after him. Gavin Lux was taken after him. Kyle Lewis, a lot of guys, okay? But Mickey Moniak was the first overall pick in that draft. It took him a while to get going. But many people would like certain players to, if they're building a younger team, 27 sounds pretty good. Tim Anderson's 32. Okay. Tim Anderson is batting 205. I'm sorry. I've got this mixed up. I apologize. Mickey Moniak was released by the Angels so they could keep Tim Anderson. Moniak signs with Colorado, and this is what he's done.
Okay, that's
the story. That's the story. Sometimes things don't make any sense, and that was a long way around to making sense.
Right.
So my apologies for that. But that's what happened. How do you make sense of that? Sometimes you can't.
Yeah, it's tough. The whole situation is pretty crazy there. I mean, when was the last time Tim Anderson was really lighting it up like that too? I don't.
It's been a while, my friend.
Yeah,
it's been a long while, for Tim Anderson. And he used to be a really good player.
He was great. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was 2022, right? He was 7th in the MVP in 2020, I believe. 2020, I believe is what it was. Yeah. MVP finished 7th. Okay. Won a batting title in 2019. Hit 335. Long enough back for you and I to try and have to look it up. That tells you something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Sure.
So sometimes things just don't make sense. I think Jalen Duren's struggles didn't make much sense to us. They didn't make much sense to me. You put on a display the way he did for 70 games, and then suddenly you fall apart in, I would say, 5 of the 6 games. Wasn't himself in 6 of those games, and then finally comes to life. He was more active. He just seemed like he seemed slow motion-ish, if there's such a word. There is now. In the first 6 games, first five games or so. Like they were winning despite him.
Oh, yeah. Whenever he got the ball, you were like, this is just going to be a turnover, or he's not going to do anything progressive with it. Like he kept getting it towards like the top of the key. And every time he took a dribble, you were just like, this is going to be another turnover. That's how it felt.
So now you feel like, okay, maybe this reinvigorates him. And that I hope that's the case. I read something in The Athletic the other day about the NFL draft. And I know it's in our rearview mirror and then some. But what I liked about this is that information came from NFL executives, their thoughts. So we hear all the time and we give our grades. We did that, even in a Mitch Lions Wealth poll question. We said, hey, what grade would you give the Lions? Okay. And we read other insiders' thoughts and grades on certain teams and how well they did. Every team is going to feel good about what they did. These are the guys we wanted. These are the guys we positioned here. These are the guys we had ranked on our board and all this other stuff. How quickly can we decide on whether it was a good draft class? It's going to take us a couple of years. But when you hear other NFL executives grade your team, maybe it has a little bit more meaning to it. So I decided to read the article. And let's face it, I'm not going to read it on every single team in the National Football League, but I am going to read it on select teams, the Bears, the Vikings, the Packers, and of course, the Lions. So when you go down and you read what they had to say about the Lions, I wanted to know if it was anything close to what we had. So what they do is they rank the draft capital, how good the draft really was. And many people, you use different analytics associated with certain numbers and rankings. They ranked the Lions 19th. So if you and I agreed that I thought Dallas had a really good draft, Dallas's draft capital was 9th. That tells you something right there, okay? Then they use the ranking of Dane Brugler, who wrote The Beast. It's a annual publication on hundreds of players. It's so well done. It's so in-depth. Brugler's ranked was 14th. The Cowboys, for example, was 4th. And then they talk about trades up. Detroit traded up twice. And how many times they traded down? 0. And then they go through all their picks, what round, what pick number it was, where they played, and, of course, what position they played. And here's what they wrote. The Lions targeted specific needs, right tackle and edge rusher, with their first 2 picks as a team trying to maximize whatever remains of its contending window. There you go. Window. In case you haven't heard this before, my belief is players have windows, teams do not. How long is a window open? Kansas City, New England, San Francisco, Buffalo, Green Bay. Teams have had wide open windows. Why? Because they've had the right mindset, the right vision to change on the fly, but keep the key pieces moving forward. Green Bay kept Brett Favre for a long time, Aaron Rodgers for a long time. New England kept Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski and Teddy Bruschi for a long time. Kansas City behind Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Chris Jones for a long time. San Francisco back in the day with Joe Montana and Jerry Rice and Ronnie Lott and Roger Craig and Jesse Sapullo and Randy Cross for a long period of time, right? Dallas had a run there with Aikman and Smith and Larry Allen and Michael Irvin and Ken Norton and those guys. That was a long period of time. So I believe you're talking, when people say windows, I mean, usually it's a short period of time. I think it can be long. It depends on who you're turning over. Are you adding new pieces and getting pieces that you feel are a little bit more, well, dispendable? So I don't believe in that whole contending window, okay? It continues. First round pick Blake Miller wasn't for everyone, but he projects as the most game-ready right tackle available under the assumption the Lions will move all-pro Penei Sewell to the left side. That's common knowledge. Trading up for a second-round edge rusher Derek Moore showed urgency to get help opposite another all-pro Aiden Hutchinson. Here's the quote from an executive. They know who they are and who they want to be. So it's more about what can you do to enhance what we already bring to the table. They needed a tackle. They have all been burned by the Clemson helmet, or we have all been burned by the Clemson helmet. But Blake Miller is a good player, and I really like Keith Abney. All we hear about is Keith Abney from the 5th round. I mean, sure, you hear about Blake Miller and you hear about Derek Moore. But right after that, just because of where they're drafted and the needs that were sufficed by the Lions, what they really talk about as much as anything else is Keith Abney, the cornerback out of Arizona State. He's been fantastic from a story standpoint and a need standpoint and a value standpoint. They write, it continues, Abney is the corner Detroit drafted from Arizona State in the 5th round. According to an executive, he has some scrappiness to him. He is like a better Mike Hilton. Chippy, aggressive, physical. He can play in the slot. He can be competitive on the outside despite his size. You'll have to move him around to help him, but he's a good player who is wired the right way for them. The Miller selection was not universally applauded. Sewell will be good wherever he plays, but I'm not sure Miller will end up being a tackle depending on what they ask of him, another executive said. That's surprising. I've never heard. It's the first time I've heard somebody suggest that he would be anything other than a tackle.
Yep, I've never heard that before. That's crazy to me. I don't think I've even read anything before the draft about him not being a tackle.
Nothing. That executive said, I do not think they got a lot better. Derek Moore is steady, a double hitter, good player, nothing dynamic about him. It made me wonder, what did they need to get better? They needed a starting tackle. They got one. They needed a starting edge. They got one. They needed a starting corner. They got one. You could argue they needed a starting backer, and Jimmy Rolder, they got one. They needed a replacement for David Montgomery. They got one in Isaiah Pacheco. And they needed a starting center, first and foremost, and they got one in Cade Mays. How are they not better?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just people don't like. I guess if you don't like the player, you have your opinion on it. But they definitely addressed every need that they needed to do this offseason, it feels like. And I don't understand. You can look at that draft and think they didn't get better from the draft perspective point. Like, I guess you don't love the players. You don't love the players, but they definitely made the effort to get better. It felt like from that draft.
Are they a better team on paper? This is hard for anyone to prove or disprove right now, but are they a better team on paper now than they were last year?
Absolutely. And that's where it makes me wonder if maybe they're drawing comparisons back to 2 years ago and they went 15-2 or something, or I don't know why you would go that far back, but they definitely got better from a year ago. I mean, their offensive line was jumbled together and wasn't right at all towards the end of last year. I feel like it's definitely in a better spot right now on paper.
Without a doubt. I mean, I will be stunned if Jared Goff is sacked 38 times like he was in 2025. The only quarterbacks sacked more than Jared Goff were Geno Smith, Cam Ward, Justin Herbert, Drake May, who runs a lot, Jacoby Brissett, Trevor Lawrence, and Josh Allen, who runs a lot.
The only thing I can think of is that maybe people just wanted to see a bigger name offensive lineman signed at that point. Because how did they not add more to their line? I don't get how they didn't do that.
I don't get it either. And let's not lose sight of Juice Scruggs, Ben Barch, and a right tackle, Larry Borum.
I feel like there's been depth added there and there's choices, and I feel like people are going to be competing for positions. I feel like I don't understand how it didn't get better. But
how are they not better from a cornerback standpoint? Terry Arnold has shown many videos of how he's recovering from the shoulder injury. And Keith Abney is universally praised. In addition to that, they added Roger McCreary and others in free agency. And you're hoping that, I know, you're going to laugh at this, Enos Rakestraw actually is healthy enough to play. If you want to take a shot at the linebacking core, I get it. For sure. You're not convinced Derek Moore is the guy? Look, where they drafted him, okay? Where they drafted Derek Moore, second round, 44th overall, people thought the 44 might have been high. Didn't see him really past an early third. So was it really that much of a reach? Maybe more so than some people would have thought. And they also got another edge in the 7th round for what that's worth. 8:18, we'll have Hero and Heel, bottom of the 8 o'clock hour. Omari Sankofa of the Free Press joins us as we reignite the talks about the Pistons here on X's and Bros, brought to you by Meyer.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Huge here for Josh Garvey and his team at Dorn Mayhew. Now, Josh oversees the West Michigan operations. Dorn Mayhew's worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. They are one of the top accounting, CPA, and business firms in the world. They continue to grow. They can help your business with any accounting, CPA, or business need you have. And also Dorn Mayhew and Josh and the West Michigan operation, they present Talking Hoops with John Beeline. We do it every Tuesday on the Huge Show through the NBA Finals. So how far will the Pistons go in the playoffs? You can hear Coach Beeline, Josh Garvey, and myself every Tuesday on the Huge Show as we talk hoops, presented by one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms, Dorn Mayhew. Josh Garvey oversees the West Michigan operation. Their worldwide headquarters for Dorn Mayhew are in Troy, Michigan. Huge here with a message for all the golfers all across Michigan. Have you played at Crystal Mountain? Now, the resort is located in Thompsonville, Michigan, 2.5 hours northwest of Grand Rapids. They feature Mountain Ridge and Betsy Valley, two renowned 18-hole championship layouts, incredible accommodations, food, beverages, and more. It's time for you to book a stay and play package at Crystal Mountain today. Go to crystalmountain.com. That's crystalmountain.com.
It's great. We had a great regular season. You know, we built a lot of momentum going into the playoffs, and to lose in the first round would have really stung. I think it would have stung the city. You know, the city has gotten more and more excited about this team, and we feel the love and all that. So, you know, we wanted to perform, to figure it out, and to, you know, come back from 3-1 odds against us, and to come back and win it at home. It feels good. It feels really good, and we're excited for what's to come. We want to continue to, you know, represent this city in the right light, but also, you know, win games, win series, and ultimate goal is the championship.
It's Cade Cunningham. That championship, look, it's a real possibility, you guys. You know that, right? I mean, Cleveland, you think Detroit can get by Cleveland? You're damn right they can.
That game just won the 7 series too. I mean, you can't even use the Pistons. Like, both teams are on an even playing field for sure right now. So.
Do you think they can they beat the Knicks? Can they beat the Sixers? Absolutely. Now, if they get there and have to play a San Antonio or an OKC, I understand why there could be some speculation of why they couldn't get it done there. But come on. Through the East, I'm not saying it's easy. None of this is easy, all right? This is not Moses Malone back in 1982, That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm telling you that this is a situation that became a lot more attainable with, let's be honest, the Boston Celtics out of it. This is what all the so-called experts told us. Look, I was into it. I thought Boston healthy was a really good team. I think Jason Tatum's a really good team player. I think Jaylen Brown's a really good player. They can shoot the three. They rely too much on it, I said, but that's a team that can definitely cause problems for anybody in the Eastern Conference. Philly took care of them. Is Philly that? If we look at three-headed monsters, Andy, this is what oftentimes people are measured by. We have said, and people have told us, throughout the season, this isn't just hyperbolic in the playoffs, okay? Throughout the season, people have said what? Cade needs help, right? If you look at Philadelphia, and it's a team that won 45 games. So if we thought Detroit was a scary team for the Knicks a year ago after winning 44, why can't we admit that Philadelphia could be scary too? I don't know. Maybe people just have certain things that Philadelphia has, in no particular order: Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, Vijay Ejcum. Those are 4 dudes who are pretty good players. Ejcum is young, Maxey's young, and he's an all-star. He's a hell of a player. Paul George is a vet. Joel Embiid's a vet. They know what it takes to be successful, although Embiid is hurt way too often for my liking. Who says? Well, I'm not saying the path is clear. I'm just saying with the elimination of the Celtics, things got a little bit more convenient for more than one team because they were viewed as the big bad bully in the Eastern Conference. I'd love to see how many people, when Detroit was down 3-1, how many national members of the media are willing to go, you know what? We jumped the gun a little bit too fast here. That's possible. Via text, Freddie back with us. Shep, Detroit Lions fans are going to eat up the 5th round pick only because Brad took him. Meanwhile, the whole NFL said he was a first round or second round talent, and they passed on him. I saw him as a 3rd round talent. I never saw him as a first or second. I didn't see one mock draft that had him a first round pick. No, that's not true. 3rd round pick, yes. Detroit got him in the 5th round. That's what everybody's saying. They're talking about value. They're talking about a guy who was viewed as a 3rd round choice, and you got him 2 rounds later. For whatever reason, it could be because he was short. There's plenty of really good stories of players in the past who were passed over by a lot of teams. I know we only look at the Lions. My God, how do you pass over Dan Marino? A lot of teams did. How do you pass over Randy Moss? A lot of teams did. Doesn't make it right. I'm just saying that happens. Okay. So Keith Abney was never viewed as a first round pick, and he wasn't viewed as the 2nd rounder. He was viewed as a top 7 corner in the draft, and the highest I saw him was a 3rd round pick. Shep, how many times have I heard a 5th-round player for the Lions would be a star? In 48 years watching them, too many times. Well, your memory's probably better than mine. I don't know about that. I never thought Miles Frazier would be a star. He was a 5th-round pick. How many times was Colby Sorsdale mentioned as a possible star, or James Mitchell as a possible star? Those guys are 5th-round picks. Quintez Cephas was a 5th-round pick out of Wisconsin. Terrell Crosby, no, he was the offensive lineman. Where'd he play? Oregon, I believe. Jamal Agnew, was he viewed as a star in the 5th round? Joe Dahl. Joe Dahl was a guard out of Washington State, and he was a 5th round pick. That could have been one of those guys you're thinking of. Michael Burton was a fullback. There's not many 5th rounders that I can remember people in Detroit saying he's going to be a star. The last 5th round pick who was worth a damn for the Lions, I believe, was Sam Martin, the punter. So I can't think of that. I mean, you probably got a better memory than I do. We do have a tendency. I would agree with Freddie on this. We do have a tendency to overvalue our picks. We think the latest and greatest just came from our scouting department in whatever round. So I do understand where the hyperbolic feeling comes from in that regard. Let me get to the final results of yesterday's poll question, because we got Hero and Heel at 8:18. Omari Sankofa, the Free Press, the Pistons beat writer, joins us at 8:35. On Friday, here's what we asked you. Andy and I asked you, do the Pistons force a Game 7? That's because Game 6 was taking place that Friday night. Do they force a Game 7 on Sunday? What did the masses vote? It was simple yes or no. Were they confident that the Pistons would win in Orlando and bring it back for a Game 7 yesterday, which they ended up winning, of course, and marched into the second round? Andy, what did people say?
58% of the people said yes. So more people did believe that they would get there, which
good.
Says a lot at that point. And then, 42% said no, then obviously. So,
okay, that's good. Good for them. Your confidence wanes a little bit. If your team is struggling the way this team has, or did, I should say, in the first few games, even though people kept trying to remind us that, 2003, the same thing happened. And it literally went game by game. In 2003, what happened? Orlando won Game 1. In 2003, Detroit won Game 2. In 2003, Orlando won Games 3 and 4. They were up 3-1. And then the Pistons, obviously, Richard Hamilton and company came back and won it. Tracy McGrady said famously after Game 4, I believe, and they were up 3-1, what are you looking forward to most? And he said playing in the second round. Put that proverbial cart before the horse, right? The automatic assumption is we're going home, everything's good, everything's fixed. When we see it time and time again, Philadelphia, look what they did. I think oftentimes what we do is with the home court or the home field or the home ice, we think the better team is bound to win at home. It's not just home court. I think it's the better team is bound to win. And if that's the case, then you would have thought the Celtics would have taken care of business. You would have thought the Celtics would be marching into the second round and playing the Knicks instead of the Sixers. Obviously not the case. We've got another poll question for you right now. The Mitch Lions Wealth poll question for today. Besides Cade Cunningham, which Piston impressed you most in the series against Orlando? Is it Tobias Harris? Is it Dennis Jenkins? Is it Duncan Robinson? Or is it Asar Thompson? Vote as often as you want. The results come your way in the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow. When we come back, Hero and Heel, your best of the week and worst of the week. Andy has his, I have mine. We get that to you when we come back after this. Brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
in the den.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Matt Shepard. Another home series win for the Tigers, making it 5 straight Comerica Park Series knockouts. Pretty impressive. It's impressive in a lot of ways. Spencer Torkelson tied the team lead with his 6th homer, his 6th in his last 11 games. Kevin McGonigal collected another multi-hit game, giving him 41 base knocks on the year, 8th most in the American League. And Jake Rogers, sparingly used, collected his first 2-hit game of the season. But the most impressive part of the 7-1 win over the Rangers was A.J. Hinch's use of his bullpen. It was an opener game, so 6 different pitchers combined to allow just 1 run on 7 hits, and they did it with some guys you never heard of, Ricky Vanasco or Birch Smith. It's not a recipe for long-term success, but you trust Hinch in those situations, and it worked out against the Rangers on a Sunday night national stage.
Saturday night, May 23rd.
Carry on my wayward son.
Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort welcomes multi-platinum legends, Kansas. Tickets start at $60 and are on sale now at the box office or etix.com. Don't miss the best of classic rock. Kansas returns to Soaring Eagle Saturday, May 23rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious Cosmic Crisp apples, money saved. Meijer Essential Paper Towels, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to Shep. Don't forget the huge show later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
it was great for us. That's the thing is like when you're going through playoff series in these situations, like you have to be battle tested and you have to, be able to respond and you have to have the experience of having to do that. To do what we did this series only made us better for the next one. And I know, a lot of people would like it to just be easier. But I think it was great for our guys to go through what they went through, to understand what it looks like and where they have to be in order to get it done. We understand that with it now. We take that with us to the second round.
That's JB Bickerstaff. Good stuff. Welcome back. Perfectly timed from Andy McDonald, because there's a lot of people who started to question JB Bickers. I'm not saying they shouldn't. When you're down 3-1 in a series and you're the 1 seed against an 8 seed, you win 60 games, you are as good as they were at home, and your team plays the way it was, and you stay with the same rotation that you had to be in a 3-1 deficit. I understand why people would second guess you. But those same people who are second guessing you need to now give you credit. And there's a lot of people who felt like, well, this is why Cleveland got rid of him. And there are people in Cleveland who might have started to question Kenny Atkinson a little bit. Kenny Atkinson's the head coach of the Cavaliers. He was coach of the year a year ago. Okay. He kept preaching, trust the system, stick to our identity. And their identity wasn't very good, was it? In fact, via text, a hero and heel, and it's time for hero and heel. Cleveland Cavs head coach said, I don't read that garbage. Then talked about the national stuff. Tell us that you read it because we know you do. So true. That's completely true. Don't come off like I don't read what I don't hear the outside noise. Of course you hear the outside noise. And it's okay because it gets loud. It takes incredible discipline for you to avoid the outside noise. It takes incredible discipline for you to say, you know what? I'm not going to let that stuff bother me. All right? He let it bother him. Don't kid yourself. Here's my hero, and then we'll get to Andy's as well. Thank you for submitting your hero and heel. It's great stuff. We'll get to the heel in a minute. My hero is really twofold. It's the Sixers and Pistons, becoming the 14th and 15th teams in history to rebound from a 3-1 series deficit and win the playoff series. Philly did it against Boston. Detroit, of course, did it against Orlando. Sixers win over the Celtics is really a first-timer. Boston had been 32-0 when up 3-1 in a playoff series all time, and it's the Sixers' first playoff series win over the Seas since 1982. The Pistons, of course, as we mentioned, beat the Magic, second time in franchise history that they did that to the same franchise. They tried to tell us they weren't out of it. Too many of us did not listen. They were dominant in the last two games, earned the first-round playoff series win. They deserve a tip of the cap and a kudo for sure from everybody who doubted them. The Pistons proved that they are worthy, making it to the second round. They and the Sixers are my hero of the weekend. How about you, Andy?
You kind of hinted at it earlier, but the Montreal Canadiens, for me, as much as it might hurt Red Wings fans to hear that, the series win that they had was impressive. Again, we kind of talked about it, how every game was decided by one goal, and it was about as good of a series as you're going to see. But 4 of the games went to OT as well. But as you mentioned, they did it with only 9 shots on goal, which I think is crazy. But it's the least amount since the Oilers in 2024. They had 10s. This is the least amount of shots on goal in a win ever. In the playoffs, then in the 1990 Devils also only had 10. So it's their first time advancing past the first round since 2021. So again, I felt like they were kind of one of those rebuilding teams when the Red Wings were rebuilding. So sure, it hurts Red Wings fans a little bit, but nevertheless, it is a hero performance, I feel like.
Yeah, and good for them, man. I mean, what a series that was. It was an incredible series. Every game decided by a goal, all 7 games. 4 of those games went to overtime. All right. And the road team won 5 of the 7 games. It's an incredible moment there in hockey last night.
Yeah, they're fans too. You just tell how relieved they were. Like,
oh,
that's
yeah,
great.
we can totally relate. And That's Freddie's heel as well, or hero as well. The hero for this was the Montreal Canadiens. Hockey's better when they're in the playoffs, so you and he are on the same page. The heel, I already gave you his heel. My heel is the Cincinnati Reds pitching staff. And you might be going, what? Specifically, Rhett Lauder and Connor Phillips. I don't know if you saw this, Andy, but Saturday night with 1 out in the second inning against Pittsburgh, Lauder and then Phillips walked 7 straight Bucks hitters. The last 4 with the bases loaded.
See that. That's terrible.
The 2 men threw 42 pitches, but only 11 for strikes. The Pirates scored 4 runs without putting a ball in play in the 17-7 win. The 7 walks tie a major league record set by the White Sox against the Washington Nationals in 1909. 1909 is when that was set. That is unreal.
No, that's
true.
That's a crazy find, Chef. That's nuts. I mean, can you imagine? Like, you want to talk about testing your mental ability right there, coming in and trying to pitch after what the 5th walk or whatever. I mean, that's crazy, man.
It's almost like you're aiming it instead of just throwing it. You know what I mean?
For sure. At that point, no doubt.
Who's your heel?
I'm sticking with the more local stuff here, but I feel like, we've talked about the Pistons all morning. I think the Magic are my heel, man. I mean, Franz Wagner or not, the fact that you had the lead that you had in Game 6. I mean, the 24-point lead at one point, where they went 1 for 24, I think it was, to close out that game, is what I have down. So to shoot that bad and to play that bad, yes, did Cade play great? Did the Pistons do a good job of coming back in that game? For sure. But the Magic had to be that bad, in my opinion, for them to give up that lead that they had at halftime. So the Magic are my heel, and Orlando hasn't won a playoff series since 2010. So now they're kind of what the Pistons were before that, feels like.
All right, let me ask you this question. This is going to be a tough question, I think. Did the Pistons win the series? Did Orlando lose it?
It's a very tough question to answer. I would say, just because of what I just mentioned in Game 6, it feels more like to me that Orlando lost it. Because if you have that big of a lead, I don't care what the situation is, you shouldn't blow it. And they had to have a historically bad shooting performance to blow that lead. So I think just that game alone means that. Otherwise, the Pistons, once that happened, I feel like they came out and showed who they really were and should have been the whole series in Game 7, and they won it and they deserve it. But I do think that Orlando had a lot to do with it, for sure.
Yeah, no, there's no question. Look, I mean, it's a common saying now, which I'm not a big fan of, but we can't help it. 2 things can be true at the same time. And with the Pistons seizing that momentum, which I don't believe goes from game to game. I don't. I mean, Orlando had a lead in Game 7. It's finding themselves. Sometimes it's just watching the ball go on the hoop. Cade Cunningham and Tobias Harris's success early in the game allowed other players, I think, to get a little bit more involved. There was no standing around and watching. I think what they did was super impressive. How they did it, again, concerns you, but makes you realize what this team is or how this team is built. When we see teams go down 3-1, oftentimes the automatic thought is, well, they're not good enough and they're kind of weak. When you see a team come back the way they did, it shows you the quote unquote grit and toughness of that team, but not just physically, but mentally. So, are they talking about Cade Cunningham needing to score as many points as that's not the recipe for success. You need others to elevate their game. And you had more than one. It wasn't just Tobias Harris. It wasn't just Asar Thompson. It wasn't just Jalen Duren. And it wasn't just Dennis Jenkins. It was all of them. And then other guys doing certain things at certain times. Do have to give JB Bickerstaff a little credit here, too. Did not play Karis LeVert a minute in Game 7.
Yeah, that was a big change for sure.
Yeah, so
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, don't tell me he didn't make adjustments. When we come back, Omari Sankofa, who was there, had a late night, but is ready to talk about it. He of the Free Press joins us on the other side here on X's and Bros, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Saturday night, May 23rd.
Carry on my wayward son.
Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort welcomes multi-platinum legends, Kansas. Tickets start at $60 and are on sale now at the box office or etix.com.
Just in the wind.
Don't miss the best of classic rock. Kansas returns to Soaring Eagle Saturday, May 23rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Motown Legends, TNT, together again. Temptation. 4 Tops, Saturday night, May 9th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Tickets start at $55 and on sale now at the box office at etix.com. Saturday night, May 9th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Temps and tops together again.
You've worked hard for decades saving in pre-tax retirement plans like 401ks and IRAs, saving on taxes now. But as your retirement now approaches, you're going to get taxed at rates you have no control over. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Your 401k balance isn't worth what your statement says. You could lose thousands of dollars to taxes, and those distributions can impact other areas of your retirement like Social Security and Medicare. Could a Roth IRA conversion be of help to you? You've probably heard of Roth conversions, but it can be confusing. Should you convert all at once or over time? Where should you pay the taxes from? How do you know for sure? Get our free personalized Roth Blueprint analysis today to find out exactly what makes sense for you. Your Roth Blueprint could potentially increase your lifetime wealth by thousands of dollars. So get your free Roth Blueprint today. Text Blueprint to 844-867-8335. That's Blueprint to 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Back with you, 35 after the hour. What a feeling the city of Detroit has, and really I would hope the entire state of Michigan has, after Cade Cunningham and the Pistons come back from 3-1 down and beat the Magic. Omari Sankofa has, I mean, if you want to follow how this team has progressed, goods and bads, okay, he's willing to tell you about it in his articles, in his tweets, and in his podcast. And he of the Free Press joins us here on X's and Bros after a long emotional day, no question. Look, when you write as much as he does about one specific team and players and get to know them, you can be emotionally involved as well. And I don't blame him one damn bit, but he had a really good tweet earlier. All the whole belief that Boston, everything runs through Boston, that has grown really old quickly, hasn't it? What impressed you most, Omari, about the way the Pistons came from 3-1 down?
Yeah, just the resolve. Throughout this whole series, I never felt like they weren't the better team. They were the better team in the regular season. And I think we saw through the first 4 games that they actually got it going. They could hit a tier that Orlando couldn't, but they just couldn't sustain it early. So for them to come back from 3-1, 15th team to do it, obviously really impressive. Arguably shouldn't have gotten to that point to begin with, but game 6 to come back from 24 and then take care of it at home just shows a lot of resolve from this team. So really impressive to see them winning at 7.
Yeah, when they were down 24, be honest here. What was your thought?
I thought it was over. They were down 24, and obviously there's always an outside chance for a comeback, but you're at home in Orlando. It didn't look good. So I was pretty sure at that point that they probably weren't going to get through.
Mm-hmm. I don't blame you. I mean, you're human. I mean, you're bound to feel that way. Who wouldn't have thought that way, except for those guys on the floor? So the easy thing, and everybody who talks to you about basketball, and you do it every single day, almost for 24 hours, is talk about Cade Cunningham. And I get it, okay? And you should, because he's a superstar. I like his humility and his willingness to face the cameras and microphones after wins and losses. To me, the humility and leadership he has shown outweighs the points, rebounds, and assists that he puts up in a box score. Where am I wrong?
Yeah, but that's always been Cade. Even during that 14-win season and that losing streak, he was still going out. 23 straight losses. He was still going out to the podium and, taking responsibility and, explaining what was going on. So that's always been Cade. He's always kind of worn this on his sleeve. He's always taking that responsibility of being the leader and the face of the franchise seriously. So if you could do that, you could do this. He after game 4, he talked about what was going wrong with the team and still expressed confidence. And here we are with them going around too.
Yeah. If I asked you, besides Cade Cunningham, who was the most impactful player in this series, who would you answer?
Man, there's 2 that come to mind. I think first, Sarn Thompson. Just for a guy to average more than 2 blocks and 2 steals per game, just the overall chaos he generates with his defense. He was important to him during the regular season, but I think in the playoffs, that was heightened even more, and he's truly shown why he's one of one. Just when it comes to wing defenders, he really ignited things, and I think showed why he's likely to be a first-team all-defense member this season. And then Tobias, averaging 20 plus per game, 30 in Game 7, had one of his best playoff series. He's year 15, and he really stepped up for him and was their second leading scorer. They needed somebody to help support Cade, and Tobias stepped up and did it.
I tweeted this out yesterday. It's weird. I was told that when the Pistons reacquired him that he can't perform in the playoffs. and obviously I don't want to be hyperbolic here, but he has performed, and he really has in his career. His yearly average is just about the same as it is in the postseason. And I think he's a really important. I'll be corny. He's a really important role model. I like the way he carries himself. I like the way he goes about his business. If I asked you, Omari, who did the Pistons win this series, or did Orlando lose it? How would you answer that?
The Pistons won it. Orlando being up 3-1, they weren't a typical 8th seed. They had Franz Wagner, Michigan alum, obviously. And they were a different team in the regular season with him. But even with that, I mean, this was a 60-win Pistons team. They had the best defense in the East by a pretty wide margin. I think they know that they came out flat in game one. And then from that point on, you're kind of fighting an uphill climb. So it'd be easy to say Orlando lost it. I mean, you're up 24 and game 6 and no Franz out there, but you still almost have the series wrapped up. But the Pistons came out swinging. They forced 23 straight missed shots, and it just forced them to kind of tap into that level that they showed during the regular season. So this was up to the Pistons. Either they show who they were during the regular season or they don't. And it took a minute for them to get there, but that team did eventually show up in the end.
Free Press Pistons Free Press beat writer Omari Sankofa joining us here on X's and Bros. Follow him on Twitter at Omari Sankofa. I think JB Bickerstaff stared down a lot of doubters too. How many times did you and I hear people say this is the reason Cleveland got rid of him? Because when they were down 3-1, people felt like he wasn't making the adjustments. He did. He did make some adjustments. Now, people can say it's too late, but it wasn't too late because they still won the series. What did you notice from what JB Bickerstaff did and the adjustments he made as the series went on that he deserves credit for?
He stuck to his gut and he stuck to his principles. He continued to trust Jalen Duren, who wasn't as good in games 1 through 6, but he responded in game 7 with 15 points, 15 rebounds. That was his best game. He stuck with Dennis. Dennis, I think he knocked down 4 3-pointers and chipped in 16 points off the bench. He had his best game in game 7. Just the trust that JB had in his guys to get it done. Persisted all 7 games, but his players eventually did hold up their end. And anytime you're a 1 seed and you're down 3-1, I think the coach is going to get caught into the criticism. But what people were saying about them, they're a try-hard team, they're a regular season team. JB can't, put together a playoff rotation and this and that. In the end, I think those criticisms ended up not being true.
Here's the other thing. I don't want to hear anybody say, well, there was no Franz Wagner, so that's why Orlando couldn't win. Detroit got a break. Well, you know what? Those same people were probably saying it mattered that Isaiah Stewart missed last year against New York. I was never one of those guys. I was never one who said Isaiah Stewart was out last year. Otherwise, if he was healthy, Detroit would have won. I didn't say it then. I'm not going to say it about Franz Wagner now. There's that old saying of next man up mentality. All right. Detroit had to do it all season long. Orlando had to do it most of the season. What do you say to those who use that as an excuse? I think it's bull. What do you say?
Yeah, no, I think it's just that an excuse. This Pistons team, they've performed at this level all year. You don't accidentally win 60 games. Their defense travels. That's something that they were able to sustain in the playoffs. They had a clear identity. And like we just said, we saw it in the playoffs. You could say Franz got hurt. Injuries are part of it. Injuries have always been part of it. Pistons lost Cade down the stretch in the regular season, right? They still won and were able to overcome. So depth wins, coaching wins, all that for the Pistons ended up helping them in the end.
How surprising are you that Philly came back and beat Boston?
A little surprised, not super surprised, because on
Okay.
paper, a Philly team with Embiid on the floor was just much better than a 7 seed, and Embiid especially. I mean, it's a matchup problem for any team, but especially for Boston. If they have a weakness, it's at the center position. So them being up 3 games, I did think that they would close it out, but that Philly team is not a 7 seed. They're just not. They've got Embiid, they've got Tyrese Maxey, and then VJ Edgecombe is he's playing like a star. He's a rookie, but he's a star at this point. So that's a really dangerous team. And they were built in a way that, I think allowed them to overcome Boston. So it's surprising, but once Embiid came back, I think it became anybody's series.
Would you rather the NBA reseed as the playoffs advance?
No, I think that I saw some talk about that online last night as well. I feel like that just kind of fixes the problem that doesn't really exist. If you're the 7 seed and you overcome the 2 seed, then you get to be a 7 seed in the next round. And I don't think you need to reseed. I don't think you need to switch up what the matchups otherwise would have been. I like brackets. I think brackets are easy to follow. I don't think you need to reseed. I don't think there's anything inherently flawed with the current system and how it operates.
Sound logic from Amari Sankofa of the Free Press joining us here on X's and Bros. Up next, that means they get Cleveland. They played 4 times during the regular season, and as you know and as you've written about, they went 2-2. What do you look at regarding that matchup that starts tomorrow? And they will play every other day, which I think is important too. It allows those players to get in a rhythm.
Cleveland's a much different team from Orlando. They're deeper. They're not quite as big up and down. You've got Donovan Mitchell, as your leading scorer, but still they're a good team. They've got 2 bigs in Mobley and Jared Allen, who are going to shut down the paint, which is where the Pistons like to score. They've got a few guys that they can toss at Cade, which is interesting. So, James Harden and Donovan Mitchell obviously are, that's pretty self-explanatory. They're 2 guys who can get you a bucket at will, essentially. So, very different team than Orlando, but also a dangerous team. You've got star power, you've got depth. You've got 2 bigs in the paint who will try to make life difficult for Duren and take away the area where the Pistons like to score the most. So it'll be a tough series. That's a good Cleveland team. And then obviously JB, that was his last stop before he came here. So, there's some personal storylines involved as well. I think this one will go 7 games too. I think it's going to be a really tough series.
What makes you think the East is so wide open?
Just looking at how it's shaken out. You've got Cleveland, you've got New York, right? The Pistons went 3-0 against New York during the regular season. Philly, the Pistons never saw this iteration of Philly. They didn't face Embiid this season, but you've got teams, left that are still really good, and I think could give the Pistons a run for their money. The wide open talk's been interesting, given that the Pistons were the only team to crack 60. But I think you also understand it just from the standpoint of the Pistons haven't had any playoff success. I mean, they just won their first series since 2008. So, I think from that standpoint, they still have to prove it. And they've got some teams they beat during the regular season, but it's the playoffs now. It's a new game, and Cleveland's formidable, New York's formidable, Philly's formidable. So all these teams are teams that I think will be really, really challenging for the Pistons to beat, and they just have to continue to prove that they are the number 1 team.
Lastly, do you anticipate the rotation to stay the same, or do you think it will differ a little bit for JB Bickerstaff, considering it's a different style of team and a different type of Cleveland team than what they saw in round 1 against Orlando?
Yeah, no, I think he'll adjust. We didn't see a lot of Ron Holland last series. I'm curious to see if that stays true.
Or Paul
This
Reed.
one, or Paul Reed. You've got Harden and Donovan Mitchell over there, so you're going to need all the wing defenders you could get. So he's going to have to switch some things up. I don't know how different it'll be in game one, but as the series goes on, I think we'll see you make more and more adjustments to stay competitive.
Yeah, that's a great point. Could you see him going with double bigs at times against a team like Cleveland, just because of their two-headed monster, if you will, in Jared Allen and Evan Mobley?
Yeah, I mean, they've got the big man depth to do that. So that's one thing that we didn't see a lot in the first round that we could see more in round two, depending on how much Allen and Mobley share the floor and how much they're staggered. But we didn't see a lot of Duren and Stu in round one. So that's one thing we could see in round two to counter that.
Appreciate your expertise and appreciate you getting up early this morning, because it's been a long weekend. But it's been a fun time following you on social media and reading your articles, of course, in the Free Press. Keep up the great work, my friend. We thank you very much.
Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Amari Sankofa of the Free Press. You want a good follow when it comes to the Pistons? That's who you follow. I mean, he's just got really good stuff. He's got really good insight. He's got some quick tweets that you can follow and give you some really good information. And that's where, look, I mean, we say this all the time to these guys that we bring on, because they are with that team. They are entrenched with that team on a daily basis. And we tell them, look, you've helped us. You help us quite a bit with that stuff. And then we can, pass along to our listening audience. And it's an important piece of the journalistic integrity of what he and others do. So I want to thank him for coming on. Tomorrow, Dominic Shine's going to be on with us. He of the Grand Rapids Griffins, as they make their playoff push. One of the best seasons in AHL history has to continue. It's a little bit of some controversy in game one when Sebastian Kosa didn't play, but they lost 1-0. We'll see if Dominic Shine can shed some light in the differences between the AHL and the NHL and a lot of the things that he's experienced in a hell of a season. Dominic Shine will join us at the Grand Rapids Griffins tomorrow, 8:35. We hope you can join us as well. Our thanks to everybody involved in our broadcast, especially, of course, Andy McDonald. And our thanks to Amari Sankofa for coming on, Mitch Lyons for coming on with Mondays with Mitch. We're back with you tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock here on X's and Bros. A reminder that our good friend Bill Simons of The Huge Show continues to impress and continues to keep things light but informative in the afternoons on these great station affiliates. He'll be on later on today, 3 until 7. Until tomorrow, 6 o'clock here on X's and Bros. Have a great Monday, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community, just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
In the den.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Matt Shepard. Another home series win for the Tigers, making it 5 straight Comerica Park Series knockouts. Pretty impressive. It's impressive in a lot of ways. Spencer Torkelson tied the team lead with his 6th homer, his 6th in his last 11 games. Kevin McGonigal collected another multi-hit game, giving him 41 base knocks
strikeouts on the year, 8th most in the American League, and Jake Rogers, sparingly used, collected his first 2-hit game of the season. But the most impressive part of the 7-1 win over the Rangers was A.J. Hinch's use of his bullpen. It was an opener game, so 6 different pitchers combined to allow just 1 run on 7 hits, and they did it with some guys you never heard of, Ricky Vanasco or Birch Smith. It's not a recipe for long-term success, but you trust Hinch in those situations, and it worked out against the Rangers on a Sunday night national stage.
Huge here for Josh Garvey and his team at Dorn Mayhew. Now, Josh oversees the West Michigan operations. Dorn Mayhew's worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. They are one of the top accounting, CPA, and business firms in the world. They continue to grow. They can help your business with any accounting, CPA, or business need you have. And also Dorn Mayhew and Josh and the West Michigan operation, they present Talking Hoops with John Beeline. We do it every Tuesday on the Huge Show through the NBA Finals. So how far will the Pistons go in the playoffs? You can hear Coach Beeline, Josh Garvey, and myself every Tuesday on the Huge Show as we talk hoops, presented by one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms, Dorn Mayhew. Josh Garvey oversees the West Michigan operation. Their worldwide headquarters for Dorn Mayhew are in Troy, Michigan.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
field. That's got carry. It's gone. Number 500 and history for Miguel Cabrera.
Bottom line is, man, it's hard to break us now. It's hard to break us. As a matter of fact, you ain't going to do it.
Open look going. It's the outside.
What a play called by Tom Izzo in that time.
I was 7 years old watching a football game by myself, and I saw those winged helmets come out of the tunnel, and I was hooked at that point.
Kane in Chicago.
Oh my God!
Kane with the overtime winner.
Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
He drives loud to KD for a game.
You play real good, you start. You don't play as good, you work your way back in. It's the American way, except America has gotten soft. But that is the American way. That's the way it works.
It's the 6'6" James Cunningham.
Jameson Williams, he's got it! Touchdown, Lions. Now it's Larkin with a burst of speed. He scores! Gives the United States the lead for the first time tonight.
Well, what a weekend. Sweet 16 is all set. Hi, everybody, and welcome to X's and Bros on this Monday. Glad you're with us. We are brought to you this hour by Mitch Lyons Wealth and MitchLyonsWealth.com. Mondays with Mitch, 7:18 per usual for sure. And in case you missed it, that Sweet 16 is all set, and we'll get to that coming up here on X's and Bros. Big talking point for sure. First, Pistons going to aim for the season series sweep of the Lakers when the two clash at LCA tonight. Detroit owning 51 wins in a 4-game lead in the East right now. LA has won 9 in a row. They've pulled to within third place of the West overall. The one thing that Detroit will not have a problem with tonight, if it's close, and you would think it would be with Detroit with no Cade Cunningham, LeBron James is 2 for 36 in game-tying or game-go-ahead field goal attempts in the last 5 seconds of the fourth quarter and overtime. Since joining the Lakers, he is 2 for 36 in those types of situations. 2 for 36 in game-tying or go-ahead field goal attempts in the last 5 seconds of a fourth quarter or overtime. Now, obviously, you take a little bit with a grain of salt because, he may have been given the basketball. Usually not. He's always, it's like a hot potato for him. Usually, there are circumstances that we don't always know about. So you got to give him a little bit of a break there. But if that's the case tonight and the game is on the line and he's got it with 5 seconds or less in the fourth quarter or overtime, let him shoot the basketball. Red Wings are off until tomorrow and they welcome Ottawa to town. Big one because of this reason. The Islanders were 1-0 winners, thanks to Bo Horvat, in the win over Columbus last night. And that means that New York has captured the final wild card spot as of right now. The Wings do have a game in hand. And what we noticed last night for New York, Matthew Schaefer continues to excel. Didn't have a point last night, but he is trying to redefine what playing defense is really all about. Ilya Sorokin leads the NHL in shutouts. He's got 7 shutouts thanks to the win last night. So New York becoming more and more of a player. It is another team. We knew it was going to be tight. You knew it was going to be competitive. You knew it was going to be a little uncomfortable at times. If you look at the wild card, it's Boston who came back and beat Detroit the other night with 86 points, and it's the Islanders with 85. Boston has played 70 games, so they have 12 left. New York has played 71 games. The Red Wings have played 70 games. So Detroit has a game in hand there. Keep this in mind. They play Ottawa, as I mentioned. Ottawa has played 69 games, and Ottawa is sitting just 3 points back of Detroit. So there's a logjam in the Eastern Conference without question. Detroit has some challenges coming up, courtesy of their schedule. We'll get to that a little bit later on as well. Michigan is the number 1 overall seed in the college hockey tournament. Big Ten tournament champs open Friday against the Atlantic Hockey Conference champion Bentley Club in the Albany region. The Wolverines, the number 1 scoring team in the country, and they boast 2 50-point players. This is interesting. Michigan is now the first school to ever earn a number one seed in the NCAA men's basketball tournament and earn a number one seed in the NCAA men's hockey tournament in the same school year. There has never, ever been a school to win the national championship in men's basketball and in men's hockey within the same year. Michigan State is also a 1 seed. They're third overall. They're the third of the 4 1 seeds. Okay? It's just a 16-team tournament in men's hockey. It's actually fun, but I know some people would like it expanded. Don't have nearly as many hockey schools around the country as you do basketball schools. But Michigan, North Dakota, Michigan State, and Western Michigan are the 1 seeds. Okay? The Spartans will play UConn Thursday afternoon in Worcester, Massachusetts. This is not the basketball, although they are on the same side of the basketball ledger. This is the hockey ledger. Spartans have a tournament best 4 first-round draft picks, a tournament high 15 draft picks overall. Trey Augustine, a 3-time Richter Award semifinalist. The Huskies, in case you were wondering, runners-up in the East Coast Conference. Western Michigan, as I mentioned, is the 4th overall 1 seed. They start defense of their national title against CCHA champion Minnesota State in Loveland, Colorado. It's weird to hear you say that, CCHA champion Minnesota State, because so many of us growing up knew the CCHA as Western, Michigan, Michigan State, Lake Superior, Miami, Ohio, Northern Michigan, teams like that, you know. Bowling Green, not any longer. Matt Fitzpatrick, birdies 18. He wins the Valspar Championship. So here's our Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question of the day. And look, basketball is the go-to right now, all right? You would figure. Who's the biggest surprise in the Sweet 16? Is it St. John's as a 5 seed? Is it Texas as an 11 seed? Is it and Iowa as a 9 seed, or Nebraska? I think those are fair right now. I mean, a lot of people, maybe Tennessee I thought about, but Nebraska had never won an NCAA tournament game. Now, Nebraska, after beating Troy and Vanderbilt by 2, okay, they beat Vanderbilt by 2. They handled Troy by 30, 29 to be exact. A little surprising. I'm guessing most people will say Iowa as a 9 seed, but that's a team that right now, they're not the lowest seed at all. The lowest seed, or the highest seed, if you look at it that way, is Texas at 11. Texas had a play-in game. Then they had to beat BYU. Then they had to stun Gonzaga before they get ready for Purdue. Texas is an 11 seed. St. John's probably shouldn't have been a 5 seed in the first place. But St. John's did have to beat Kansas to get there. So that's the reason for St. John's being there as well. So you can vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. That'll be tweeted out, and we will retweet it, and we'll get to the results tomorrow in the 8 o'clock hour. Mitch Lyons will join us as always. Mondays with Mitch, 7:18. Looking forward to this. There is a Sweet 16 narrative that is now dead. We'll explain when we come back on X's and Bros on a Monday morning. We're brought to you by Mitch Lyons. Well, stay with me.
You've worked hard for decades saving in pre-tax retirement plans like 401ks and IRAs, saving on taxes now. But as your retirement now approaches, you're going to get taxed at rates you have no control over. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Your 401k balance isn't worth what your statement says. You could lose thousands of dollars to taxes, and those distributions can impact other areas of your retirement like Social Security and Medicare. Could a Roth IRA conversion be of help to you? You've probably heard of Roth conversions, but it can be confusing. Should you convert all at once or over time? Where should you pay the taxes from? How do you know for sure? Get our free personalized Roth blueprint analysis today to find out exactly what makes sense for you. Your Roth Blueprint could potentially increase your lifetime wealth by thousands of dollars. So get your free Roth Blueprint today. Text Blueprint to 844-867-8335. That's Blueprint to 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLionsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Shop Meijer and enjoy hot deals on Meijer brand must-haves. Save on pantry essentials like select Meijer canned vegetables for 59 cents each. Meijer instant pudding or gelatin, just 79 cents each. Meijer pie crust for $1.59. And Meijer brown and served dinner rolls, just $1.99. Saving money on favorite Meijer brand must-haves? Now that's a good deal better. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
From Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Muskegon, Petoskey, Charlevoix, Traverse City, Cadillac, Lansing, and beyond, you are listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard only on the Michigan Sports Network.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.